Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. And I am your host, Despina Karatzias.
Relax.
And welcome to you all to the Tourism Hub podcast, the place to be for all things excellence in tourism, in professional development, personal development, business development, digital development. And speaking of digital, I've got a queen with me on the podcast today and this evening. So thank you everyone for joining us on a first evening show. And without further ado, my special guest is someone that I have gotten to know and love even more than I knew and I loved her before I worked on the daily with her. Welcome to the show, Fabienne Wintle, the co-founder of Tourism Tribe and Navi Digital. Yay! We need a bit of a whoo! Yay! Fabby's in the house. Hey, Fabstar.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me. Hi. Thank you for joining me on the Tourism Hub podcast. We've had a lot of fun in the last 3 weeks and we couldn't wait any longer to share you with the world and the wider community that is also subscribing to the podcast. So welcome. Thank you for saying yes.
Thanks for having
and working
me.
out my absolute pleasure. We were just saying fun fact. So Liz Ward, who is the other half of Fabienne Business Life, was the first special guest of the Tourism Hub podcast in 2016. So you can go and catch that. But we're going to catch up with her and do a bit of a where is Liz now next week. But today is all about Fabi. And Fabi is the co-founder of Tourism Tribe. She is, when you talk about digital excellence, I've never seen or known anyone to work the way that Fabi does in digital. So in digital and tourism, Fabi, I just want to get started with how you got started in your pathway to tourism. And it wasn't in Australia, was it?
No, I grew up in Switzerland and I used to go snowboarding every weekend in a resort called Verbier, which is kind of the Chamonix of the Swiss Alps, and I loved it so much there that I decided to stay. And actually, yes, I decided to stay, and I always loved everything IT. I was the first one to have dial-up internet in Switzerland, so I decided to start building websites in those days where you needed to hard code everything in Dreamweaver. I ended up doing Masters in IT, or Bachelor and Masters in IT, and I always wanted to do tourism. And the only thing you could do in Switzerland in tourism was to become a travel agent. So I wasn't too keen on that. And I realised that in Australia you could do international tourism management. So I still remember the day when I rocked up at Griffith Uni on the Gold Coast in Queensland, and I went and asked the course convener, I said, do you think I can do something with IT and tourism? She's like, yeah, I think there's a fair bit you can do. And that's how it all started.
When you completed your studies, what was it in linking those two together? What was the first role that you entered into tourism, combining those two loves and skills that you combined of tourism and digital?
I guess I went back to Switzerland after I did my master's. I was waiting for my visa to come through in Australia. So my first role was, again, tourism and property development, actually, in one of 14th real estate agents in Verbier, because it's a paradise for investment into Switzerland. And I was the only one that spoke English, so that was quite easy. But then I returned to Australia, and there was a job at Gold Coast Tourism in research. So, research not really my background, but I can, do pretty well on spreadsheets. So that's where I started. And then there was a job advertised at Google in the tourism department in Sydney. So they flew me down for a few interviews, but I didn't make the cut. I don't think I was really cut to do sales for Google Ads or AdWords in those days. So I decided to start my own business because I realized that at that time, I think V3, which is one of the booking systems, was selling book now buttons to everyone on the Gold Coast in Australia. And I heard all these people say, I've got a book now button. But the problem is their website was not being found on Google because they told them, yeah, just stick an FPOS machine online or, book now button. But they forgot to explain that unless you're found on Google, you're like the best kept secret in the middle of the desert. So I thought, something we can do there. So I quit my job, designed my logo overnight and started untanglemyweb.com.
We'll talk about the fast forward to how much you help and support small business, but you've been doing this for some time, well before Tourism Tribe, where you've been able to really untangle the web. You do that on the daily. So tell me about that experience from quitting your job, because we talk a lot about people, particularly at this point, being at a crossroad, in a career crossroad, having lost jobs and pursuing passions where you have a love for something and seeing an opportunity. Can you remember back to that time? I mean, you're pretty fearless that you say you can do things really quickly, but could you speak to that, of that moment where you said, I can help others here and start my own business?
Apart from remembering that it was a Friday and I was really excited because I guess I had felt the frustration of not being able to do and accomplish the vision I had. So I knew there was a need, and, I guess it's a bit of a different story now. I was single, no children, no husband. I had a little bit of money on the side, so I really had nothing to lose. And I remember getting my first workshop in Bow Desert, and it all went from there. I guess, the key difference is I could develop websites if I really wanted to. And I could teach people how to learn how to do things themselves. So I wasn't really going blind. If the workshop side of things didn't work, I could always do some consulting and help people develop web strategies. So there was a need. And I guess I've got that entrepreneurial spirit. I always want to learn. I'll be the one who asks you. I'll be the annoying person at the party asking you a million questions to the point of people thinking I'm rude, but I just want to learn. And really, once you start making a bit of money, you're like, okay, that's sweet. I can continue.
And now as you continue along the way, then you did have the husband and the children, and just so people
and the caravan and the dog
and the caravan. And I want to speak about that because that's another thing. I remember when I first met you, and I had also become a trainer. I was part of the community of trainers for the e-tourism e-kit is how I first connected with you and Liz. And I remember we had our first meeting and you were in a caravan traveling around Australia doing this incredible work of building websites, delivering training. And I was just like, who is this person? And you had 2 young kids that were babies. And that's the moment I was like, you really can do anything if you've got Wi-Fi and a laptop. You were so connected and still producing such incredible work. So at that moment, you were still, I guess at that time, you were still working independently and then decided to do a road trip around Australia. What was the catalyst and the inspiration to go on the road with your business and young kids?
Actually, you know what? So I live in Agnes Water, which is the southern side of the Great Barrier Reef, just north of Bundaberg Rum. And I used to live in Brisbane at that time. And we were visiting my best friend who lives in Agnes Water. And my husband changed jobs at that time, and it hurt his back, and he had a really sore back. And we were sitting by the water in Agnes Water in the beautiful campground overlooking the beach, And I said to Warwick, I said, oh, we should just go traveling around Australia. We've got this brand new caravan we bought last year. You've had enough of your job. We can make this work. Travel blogging is like, a thing. How many years ago was it now? Maybe 5-6 years. So I'll just set up a website. We'll do some blogging. I'll contact lots of sponsors. We'll end up doing a wrap for the car. It wasn't really hard. You just had to make the decision. It doesn't matter where you are with my job. Like I can, I'm in the lounge room tonight. You can just work from anywhere. So it wasn't really hard. Like it was nothing new for me. It was just changing the surroundings. Mind you, it was really hard not having an au pair for the first 2 weeks. Oh my goodness. I think the kids went to bed later than us every night for the first 2 weeks.
And that's something you were well before your time in remote working and working from home and working from anywhere. You've been doing this for some time, and even doing business in this way. It's something that has been inherently part of your DNA, with embracing all things digital and technology to be able to set up systems, which we'll talk about in your business, to allow you that freedom, which is extraordinary. And how long did that trip last?
How long did we live in a caravan for? How long did we travel? 2 different stories, because there's another story coming after that one. So I think we traveled for just over a year. I remember we were freezing down south, and I called my friend and I said, what is it like in Agnes Water? And we ended up driving straight from Melbourne to Brisbane to surprise my husband's dad for his 70th. And then we ended up driving 7 hours north of that to Agnes Water, because they had spots at daycare for our kids. So anyway, we found a block, just borrowed a block. Someone lent us a block for a few months. And then we were just paddleboarding. Thought, maybe we should settle here. So we bought a block and decided to go on another adventure, which is to move a Queenslander house, so, old wooden house that is on stilts in Queensland, from somewhere 100k north of Brisbane up to here, and literally gut the thing and rebuild it. So you can see the walls, the windows. That was the next adventure. So we still lived in the caravan for another year on the block, because the house, couldn't move in it. There was no water, no power. The walls were bare. So I tried to have the iMac. I know how you've got this beautiful iMac. Mine's been in the cupboard for 5 years because I still have nowhere to put it. But yeah, so now we're building an office, which is really exciting. It's the next step of the
can't
adventure.
wait for that.
So we were
in
a caravan for a long time. Look, my parents in Switzerland, my thought I was if you're in Switzerland, so your kid has moved from a 5-bedroom house into a caravan, it really doesn't sound that crash hot. So I did have to send pictures to my brother that the caravan, was like a luxury, big caravan with shower, toilet, because he was quite worried. So we were all comfortable, heating, Thermomix, everything that you need.
You're such an action woman. Where does that come from? You're such a say yes, do it now. I just getting to know you more and more, and even hearing this story, that you just don't let things get in your way of seeing something through or finishing it. Where does that come from? Because I've never seen or known anyone to move as fast as you and getting stuff done.
I don't know. I don't really think it runs in my family that much. I know some people get really annoyed because I'm always so positive and I'm like, oh, well, Claire from our team, she said, with Fabi, there's no red light. It's just, are we going to go left or right around it or over it? It's true. You've got to embrace life. You've only got one, What's the worst thing that can happen? I have to go and get a job. I'm sure I've got great skills that I could be employed. I wouldn't last long having people telling me what to do. But yeah, I guess it's been so long now. And I love doing what I do.
Oh, and you're incredible at what you do. And when you think about when there's hurdles set in front of you, whether, in business or, in the day-to-day, or challenges have come across your path, is there any time that you can think of a significant challenge and you've had to overcome, and what you did?
Every day. It's funny. It's not the biggest things that affect you. I think it's just the little things. My challenge is managing time. Kids, I'm sure so well with your kids being at home at the moment, but they only go to school from 8 till 3. Whereas a full workday is really from 8 till 5, if not more, when you are in a higher position or you're a business owner. So it's about finding time for myself, I guess, to stop working and go for a walk, because working from home, you don't really have that commute with the car where you can go and start thinking about other things. It's just like drop the computer, walk 2 meters and cook dinner. So that's a real challenge. And I've been talking with a few, hosts on podcasts, and it's the same thing for them, that entrepreneurial life balance. Because as an entrepreneur, you're constantly thinking. Your brain, I don't know about you, but I'm cooking dinner and I've got this other idea that the other side of my brain's come up with. And it's constant.
It's constant. It's constant. It's an overactive mind that is constant. And I see and I hear you. And I actually shared exactly the same thing, because I couldn't articulate what is different, particularly now. Even the office is not too far away, but not having that downtime, even in the car, I didn't realize how important that was, for just that little window of alone time, or just some solitude. Just some solitude. Whereas now it's constant. So I did see, that's the part that's missing here, and just getting into a new groove of it, that you're moving from room to room in your house and being disciplined to have those routines, to get out for that walk or that run or schedule that time in, which is difficult hard when you love that. When you just can fill it
and
up.
And then, you see you've only got a finite amount of time, and you're like, well, better spend it with my kids than going for a walk for myself. So it's difficult. And then I sleep a lot. I guess that's the only way to get the brain to stop.
Yes, it is. It's a blended life right now. There's no such thing as balance. It's just a blended life of work.
Keep going.
Family. That's it. And look, there's really good stuff happening. And talking about those, we spoke with the wonderful Sarah Seddon and Heidi Victoria last week about having this entrepreneurial, that term of having seizures, of having those ideas and being an action taker and doing something about it. Those aha moments, and we'll talk about that aha moment between you and Liz of forming Tourism Tribe. But how do you filter through an idea or a concept that you'll move forward on or park?
If you can do things better and faster, and it's part of your key product, I said go for it, test it. You got to always have some time and some slots in your business to work on developing the business. So that's really important to stay up to date in this competitive environment. And I guess if you've got an idea, you read a lot. I'm on a lot of Facebook groups. So generally, by the time I have an idea, I have a pretty good idea whether or not it can be implemented easily. And then just test it as digital. So if it doesn't work, just stop it.
And seeing with your with digital, and particularly for small business, who we are, we've been born to serve in our work with everything that we've done up until now for our universes to align and coming together to work on like such exciting things at Tourism Tribe, and that will translate into Navi. What are some key things that small business are really challenged by and struggle with when it comes to digital implementation, or things that they're not really putting as a priority and they should be?
Well, I guess if you compare it to learning a language, when I learnt languages in Switzerland, you always learn the grammar. You learn the foundations, and now there's school of thought. They said just learn words and you'll get by. You'll get by, but if you're missing the foundations of digital literacy, how my lovely business partner Liz Ward uses that word, which is exactly that. If you're missing the foundation, you're not going to be able to build on your pyramid. And that's what I notice. A lot of businesses that we work with are small businesses that haven't got that, that IT background that I have. It doesn't really come to them easily to think, well, I've been doing this task, 10 times a day. There must be a way to automate it. If you don't have that basic digital literacy, it's very hard to evolve with your tools, your systems, your website, your web marketing in a manner that will allow you to grow exponentially. So we find that teaching those basic skills and, safe password management or rapid use of password, using your bookmarks cleverly, using Google Docs, using Canva, learning how to use Google Sheets, all these basic tools and what they can do for your business problem. That is really a solid foundation that businesses need to have nowadays.
That is an excellent analogy. And it's funny because my daughter's, her gymnastics coach, when she was really eager to learn a high skill, like a high tumble, her coach will have to kind of pull her back. And she shared something that stuck with me, and it's resonated what you've just said, which is perfect with digital literacy starting for foundation. And she would say, no foundations, no future. If you can't do a proper, no foundation, no future. So if you can't build on your core, do a basic forward roll or a basic cartwheel properly, you can't go to that. You have to, it's kind of learn how to walk before you run, which is
it's not sexy though, it's not sexy. People come to us and say, I want to learn how to do Facebook. And then you realize they haven't even got the right Facebook account connected, but it's not sexy to say, well, we're going to spend an hour reconnecting everything so you can access and post on the right account without having to create a second account. But yes, it needs to happen. Otherwise, that growth is not going to be there, and you're going to be dragged behind. You're not going to be able to integrate with systems that allow you to grow a better business. So, that digital entrepreneurship trait, and it's really a currency. Like, you need to have it. We've seen with COVID, businesses that have been able to pivot, that horrible term, are the ones who know how to use the tools. As a small business, you don't have the luxury. You don't have the luxury to pay for advice every time you need something basic. So upskill yourself. I had to upskill myself in HR and online and everything. We just need to force ourselves to do it. And if that's not you, then maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because that's something that needs to happen.
That is so true. It's just, it can come to a point where, particularly with digital literacy, if it's something that it's either you do have to outsource or you have to stop and take stock and take it on board to upskill, as you said, to be able to have control of your own destiny and have control of your, be in the driver's seat. When it came to launching Tourism Tribe for this main purpose of empowering small business, specifically tourism business, with their digital capability, take us to the time, and you can see our lovely new video that will teach you how to do digital. How did Tourism Tribe came to be, and the journey that you've had in the 5-year milestone that you've just reached? And congratulations too for that.
Thank you. Well, I mean, Liz and I had, known each other for a long time. I was one of the main contractor for the Tourism E-Kit, which is like, I like to call it like a guide for dummies, these yellow guides in online marketing for tourism.
Yes.
And we always knew, and Liz at the ATTW always knew, that it was just a first step for businesses to have a guide. There was really nothing out in those days. And it was really a how-to guide. It wasn't really the inspirational pieces. It was really, this is what you need to know to progress in 2015, or no, even 2010, or whatever we created. Way earlier than that, actually. Yeah.
It would have been like 2013. I think I joined. Maybe even earlier than that. No?
Way earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I joined
Anyway.
in about 13, 14. Anyway, it's been a
So we
while.
created a guide, and me traveling around Australia delivering workshops, sometimes not knowing if I was boarding the right plane. I was just like crazy running around. And then we decided, well, we need to do something to take it to the next level. And I remember the little video that we created when we entered a World Tourism Forum award for startups. And our vision is really to help tourism businesses make a living of tourism. There's a lot of people that are in tourism that are like, but I still have a job on the side, even though it is a huge industry. So we really want to help people take it to the next level and cement their skills so they can have a great career in an awesome, happy industry that is, quite flexible when you have a family as well. So we decided to work together and build Tourism Tribe. I built it. I built the website from the caravan that was parked on that block that my friend got me in Agnes Water while the kids were at daycare. And what was obviously we integrated a lot of the Tourism eKit tutorials, but we also set up a support forum. So imagine in those days that there really wasn't much of a. I've just seen something I need to change on the site. It never stopped. There wasn't much of Facebook groups. I don't think they even existed, or there wasn't much take up on them. So we have a support forum for members where they can ask questions and help one another, because I knew I couldn't run around Australia traveling and teaching people. I'm more about setting up tools and systems to empower others to do it, and most importantly, even businesses helping one another. This is the ultimate. I remember that video. We had a boat operator in Canada that had realised that they could sell seats that were closer to the windows, a little bit more expensive than the ones in the middle of the boat. So instead of an Australian operator in Tasmania going around, maybe I could try this. They could literally connect to that Canadian operator and save reinventing the wheel. So that was our application, and this is really what we want to try and do, is get operators to connect with one another. So I absolutely loved yesterday when I saw your Slack message, Desi, with the options of how are we going to rename our tourism group on Facebook, and tourism operators helping tourism operators is exactly that. That's what we want to achieve.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a Facebook group. Everybody's welcome to join. So it's tourism people helping tourism people, basically. So it's a tourism support group for small business that are welcome to come and join. And we'll pop that in all the show notes and in the comments there. And this is something particularly now that to see the program with a tourism recovery program, and to see firsthand, since I've joined only a few short weeks ago, the transformation and the real support, because this is the difference here, I guess, between any other trainer, self-included, that with Fabi, you see the Tourism Tribe website, you see navi.com.au website, Navi, Navii. It's built by Fabi. It's built from the foundation up, and any tweet, which is invaluable to have her insight when she is developing and having an input in these programs. But more importantly, Fabi, when you can help, the level of support and one-on-one help that is delivered to small businesses, it's not just here's some information, then go off and kind of try figure it out on your own. It's hands down, hands-on, digital, at your fingertips help and assistance. Fabi, when you put these programs together, particularly with an upskill through recovery and through COVID, what was I guess, when you think about what are the key things that a business will need right now, tell us about a program like this and how you put it together and what it included to give that level of support where businesses come out saying it's something that was invaluable. And speaking to a business owner yesterday who we're going to interview on Friday, which will in our new digital discovery show, she was actually grateful through COVID that it actually forced her to step up her game. It was almost like if it wasn't for this, I would have just I would have just gone on how I was, kind of comfortable with not knowing what I don't know. But then had to, through what's happened, she came into a program like an upskill through recovery. So take us through what something like that, how you take businesses through a journey to support a digital discovery and transformation in what that included.
I think it needed to have, well, we had the luxury that suddenly people had time. And you can't teach digital using digital where we had to use Zoom, obviously, but you have to put that person, that people connection. Tourism businesses are in the business of people and customer service. They are not IT people knowing how to use a ticketing system. So we had the luxury of time and being able to create a relationship with people and connect with them every week, and in a one-to-many presentation webinar format like we're doing today. But also what we set up with that was really successful is smaller meetings, like one to 5 or 1 to 8 people, where we could all see each other and support one another. And that really created week after week that community spirit of operators helping one another. In terms of the program, I knew, and Liz and I knew, we literally turned it around overnight. The technology was there, we had already, we were actually halfway through writing a book and then COVID happened. So we already had all the chapters and all the elements that we wanted to take to tourism businesses too. And I guess the leading light was that if we go back to, when I started and everyone was being told that they needed a booking system, the leading light is really the analytics in tourism businesses' websites that show that only about 5% book online. Like, what do you do with the rest of the 95%? Businesses was being shut, or there was very, very little business happening. So it was really the right time to look at that website from a business angle and say, hang on, like, we're focusing on the 5% of the people that book. But all the money that I'm spending on SEO or getting people to my site through Facebook ads, we're just letting 95% of them walk out the door. So it's all about putting systems in place and lead magnet to ensure that out of all these 95% of people, not all of them walk out without giving you their business card. And that is really the end goal of the program, is to get people to look at their site from a business perspective, look at it like they need to be the best trained salesperson. And that is something that normally sits at the very bottom of the to-do list in a tourism business, because it's got that technology piece that I'm not quite sure how to update my website. So now they had time, we had to work through the technology, and we work gradually. The first week is all about saving more time and putting safe password management in place and using bookmarks. Third week is all about online reputation management. How can you actually go through your TripAdvisor reviews, your Google reviews, and find the gems that tell you exactly the words that your customers use, what made them tick? And then it's about using that information on your website product pages. And the product pages are the key pages of your website. They're the pages that list all your individual tours or your individual accommodation offerings. They're your salesperson. These need to be as polished as possible. You would not put a junior in front of a busload of 100 tourists. You want to have the most polished salesperson. So it's about taking those golden nuggets from your reviews and placing them cleverly on that page and looking at it as a whole. And then we continue about developing lead magnets. So basically a lead magnet is a little something that you'll give against an email address that allows you to receive someone's email address and then create an automation sequence using a marketing automation platform to nurture them towards a sale. So that's how you work from your 5% to hopefully turning that 5% and doubling it, I guess, in essence, by having more lead that you nurture. And it works. I mean, it's been proven. It's worked in so many industries. But for the tourism industry, everyone's always been so focused on book now, but people can't travel right now. They might not be ready to travel just yet, but it doesn't mean they're not interested to receiving more information about you. So I'm not talking about an email blast, an email newsletter to your whole database here. We're talking about email marketing automation. So sending really customized messages to customized to a segmented list of people that nurture them while you sleep.
This is so it's that get to know, having your visitors to your website, getting to know you, getting to like you, getting to trust you to convert. And you're right on. But many businesses just want to go straight to marriage, straight to the conversion of the book now button. What I'm hearing from you, Fabi, is like missed opportunities when the focus is coming up from that way, when that 5% growing that means creating more space and using a platform like your website. I love that as your best and most polished, trained salesperson to be working for you. And it's true that needs to come to the number one of the agenda. Now, I see you, the way you work website, you can take a glance at a website. You can look at and diagnose it in one hit, front end, or pop the bonnet and go in the back end. What would be 3 things that you would say to people, like, if you're not doing this, you need to go see someone or come and please do a program with me right now and fix this?
Well, you can go and write site, and then your address of your website. So site, www.mywebsite.com in Google. And if you see that all your page titles, which is the ones in, now I can't remember, in blue, home dash business name, services dash business name, blah, 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 dash business name. If they all look like they follow the same pattern and your description has got ... in there, it means you haven't got any search engine optimization in place. That means you're the best shop, the shop in the middle of the desert that I was talking about.
Yeah.
When I started at Gold Coast Tourism so many years ago, right? So you might have a beautiful shop, but you've got no signage and you're in the middle of the desert. So that you might have a search engine optimization plugin on your website. So, think about your website as your iPhone and all your little apps on there. They're called plugins for your website. So generally your web developer will always install an SEO plugin, but they will just install it. They will not configure it. So it's just there, but it does nothing really. Look, I've looked at a lot of websites in my life. I can count on my hand how many times I have seen the search engine optimization plugin configured, and people don't know about it.
Yeah.
So, that is not on. So just understanding that, and obviously every time you write, SEO is not something that you do as a one-off. Every time you write new content, you've got to follow best practice. It's not hard to learn. In an hour or 2, you can really get the gist about it and understand how to make a difference. But that's definitely a one thing that everyone can go and do now. The other thing, I guess, is go and check if you've got your full address in your footer of your website, and if that's the same address that you use on Google My Business, on Facebook, and the name, address, phone number needs to be written in exactly the same format. So if you're corner of Smith Street and Bloomfield Street, you're going to have to change that to your postal address. So that's critical for local search. And local search, obviously, nowadays is so important because when you Google something, it's the Google map that comes up at the top. People rarely go down to the other listings for blockbuster keywords.
Blockbuster keywords. I love that.
Them, right?
Yeah, I heard that something recently, like if you want to hide a dead body, put it on page 2 of Google. Do you like that? Yeah. There's some great tips right there. And I'm going to share with everyone, there's some free training coming up. If you go to tourismtribe.com/free dash course, you can have access to a full hour of power with Fabi and Liz starting next week, which I think is going to, if you're serious about leveling up and maximizing your best, most well-trained, polished salesperson, it's something that you don't want to miss out on. In the beginning of launching your business, and not just launching your business, Fabi, launching Untangle My Web, Tourism Tribe, Navi, but also launching a new product, a new educational experience. What is the first step in putting that plan in place for you in the beginning to see it eventuate?
For me, I have to visualize it.
Yeah.
So it's just nothing IT, nothing technical. It's just, I guess, it's the way. Remember when you're at school, like, it's the way you learn. You've got to visualize it in a way that will stick to your brain so you can build on it. You know, some people like to take notes. That's not me. And remember, I always say, we need to put it in a Trello board so I can visualize it. Like, that's my thing. Or whimsical. I need to visualize
I was just about to say, what's that one that you just love this? Yeah, whimsical is
whimsical. Yes. When I showed that to Claire, actually, she go, "Oh, now I can see in Fabi's brain." Yeah. So I think, and I guess, I don't know, maybe it's the woman thing. You know, have you seen what's that video about the male brain and that has the nothing box? Or if you're watching us, you got to Google it. It's called the nothing box. Like how males are able to go in a box and think about nothing, and the women, everything's connected.
Yeah.
So once you've got that first idea, I guess it just comes in. Everything connects and falls into place. And I guess, well, that's my strength. Like, I do systems integration. That's what I do. So I guess my brain's wired that way. So once you've got the basic idea, I get really excited about making it happen systems wise. You know,
yes,
my strength might not be to promote it as much. I really get a real kick from making it happen with the least human interaction required, where things can be automated so that it frees us up to do other things. And I guess that's what, you know, when we do big programs, that's why we can do 600 or 800 digital health checks with minimal interaction, because the systems are there. And it's quite funny, you know, clients realize, I got a call once, are you going to be able to deliver? I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. People don't realize that the automation takes care of that part. And all these systems, most of these systems are free, you know, for the level that a small tourism business would need. So instead of paying staff to do admin, you can pay them to do Facebook lives like this. To actually bring people through your doors, so they start filling through your lead funnel and give you inquiries.
100%. That is something through automation, and this is something that it's really, and we spoke about this recently, that what we're talking about when we say digital capability, it's not just about marketing, it's about working smarter to scale and to grow without necessarily needing to replicate yourself and doubling the hours of the day to be able to set up processes and systems and using technology smartly in your business. So that's the connection, that there's digital marketing to help you reach new audiences and have and leverage opportunities, but there's also systems in place to be able to scale and grow, not necessarily needing to double the team or double your infrastructure. Right. which is it's been wonderful to just be in just to be able to be exposed to seeing that all come into fruition and quickly.
And I think that
really quickly as well.
Well, that's the right thing, being exposed. I think if every small business listening to us would join some business groups where people ask questions about systems, even if you use Zero and there's a Facebook, Zero for accounting, and there's a Facebook group about Zero, or Google Sheets, or even if you like your Google Home, there's groups on Facebook about that. And just force yourself to be exposed to these questions that people have. It'll just be part of the back of your brain, and one day you're going to have a problem. You go, "Oh, I can do it this way." And we experience this all the time. I was training a lady from a visitor information center today, and we did a lot of stuff on QR codes. Before all the COVID registrations needed to be done online via form where you use a QR code for efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Wow, all that training that we did, I thought it was going to be hard, the QR codes, but it's really simple now. And I can really show my boss and make it happen." And it's just from being exposed to it and your subconscious reading about it, listening podcasts, just seeing, instead of looking at your Facebook feeds of what your friends had, for dinner, or what cocktail they had on Saturday night, join some groups and be exposed to that. Be a bit inquisitive with technology and systems. And once you go in, because you're all going to need systems for small businesses, and once you turn to your IT person, who is really not the right person to ask about systems integration, by the way, the one who sells you your printer and your computer, that's not their skills. It's like, I guess, asking a baker instead of a pastry chef to make you a wedding cake. That's another one I use all the time.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, you'll have a bit of more flair and understand if they're telling you fibs or not. You need to know the questions to ask.
Absolutely. It's really keeping your network or your suppliers also, accountable by being empowered with that type of knowledge, isn't it, Fabs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You're personally speaking, for you, what are some personal, we've gotten to know a lot of your habits of being very action focused. You naturally see glass full, not empty. But in terms of some personal habits that have contributed to your success, from wanting to study tourism and combine tourism and technology to running successful business and helping other businesses, what would you say some personal habits that you have? Aside from having, this is something else, guys. I don't know if Glenn can. She like the bike. She's got an exercise bike that she's converted into a desk that we meet in the mornings, and all you see is this Fabi doing this because she's working and she's getting, like, you talk about someone with efficiency that's gone, you know what, I can't do the workout, la la la. So she's just, tell us about your habits.
Funny enough, when I moved to Australia for good, with my permanent residency in my passport, I bought a fridge, and I bought this thing to put on the fridge that said, "Live the life you have always imagined." And it's so basic, right? But you're going to be happy with what you're doing. I have not used an alarm clock in like 15 years because I just love what I do. And yes, of course, your parents tell you you're going to have a good job that brings in money. But if you can't breathe, if you're not happy, everything's going to fall and crumble. You're not going to be good at work if you don't like your job. So that's the first thing, is find ways to be happy and just always be you. I should show you, actually, one of our lovely customer has made me 3 wooden, don't know if you can see, 3 wooden hearts there on my wall that says, "Always be you." So be true to yourself. That's don't lie to yourself. Nothing's going to work. And obviously, you might not want to quit your job tomorrow. Apparently, I did a really bad thing when I quit my job. I should have stayed and got a redundancy package or something. People told me it's much better. But yeah, find something that you love and work towards it. I did Toastmasters when I moved to Australia to learn how to run meetings in English. And there was this discussion about setting yourself goals, little goals and targets towards your dream. It doesn't have to be a big dream. It's just a little adventure that you want to get to. And I guess, that's some sort of habits. I guess I'm Swiss, so I'm always on time. That helps. But I haven't really got, like what's these books called? The 5 Habits of Really Successful People. I'm just like a normal person, like just boring person, who just enjoys life and love doing what I do, and I keep doing what I love.
What's some advice that you've received that has really served and helped you along the way?
When I first started Untangle My Web, I listened, and you know about this book. It's called The E-Myth Revisited, because I know we talked about it.
Yes.
And in those days, I did not have a bike, but I had an elliptical bike, whatever they're called. The ones you stand up and you do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I actually did not read the book. I listened to the audiobook. My goodness, there was audiobooks in these days. And that was a really good, a good mentor, that if you're building your business, you've got to be able to sack yourself from some jobs and hire people who do it better than you, because you can't be the technician. This is what, if you haven't read the E-Myth Revisited or listened to it, please do so, because it's amazing and so simple and you can really visualize it. You can't be the technician, you can't be the manager, and you can't be the entrepreneur at the same time. I'm a great technician. I could be building technology things all the time, great, but it's not going to grow the business. I'm not too good at managing people, because if I have to manage people, I can't do the rest that I love doing. So I get frustrated. So I've decided that I've got to be and stick to, sorry, my daughter's coming, stick to being the entrepreneur. So on a daily basis, I remember that to do that, I need to have processes in place and trust in my team and hire people that are better than me at doing the other jobs. So that was a great advice that I was given from the very start. I don't have any specific mentor. I couldn't quote you people, that have really made a huge impact. It's more small impacts all the time. Like, for example, one of the plugins that we use on Tourism Tribe is absolutely amazing. And I follow the founder of the plugin and try and understand his entrepreneurship, his systems integration logic. And I learn a lot from that. But yeah, just being inquisitive and challenge everything, ask questions.
Ask questions. This is something that it's daily. It's a daily occurrence for
but
you.
Why, Mum? But why?
So apart from Whimsical and Slack that we've heard of, and Evernote and Google Slides, what's the one thing you can't live without in
my phone?
In your daily, your phone? Yeah, your phone.
Not to phone people.
Yeah.
I rarely use it to call.
I would say, as we start to a close, what would be your parting piece of guidance for other tourism experience makers, small businesses, and even professionals developing their career? What's something what would be some advice that you would give to small businesses?
Just try. That would be my advice.
Yeah.
I see so many people think, I should do this. I'm like, well, why haven't you done it yet?
Yes.
Doesn't take. I'll give you an idea. My the other business that I run, the marketing side of this, is my husband's excavation company. And there's another story for you. We built a house. We had to buy a bobcat, which is actually called a skid steer. I've learned, because I know nothing about machinery, but I know the bobcat's a brand. Anyway, I said to Warwick, my husband, after building the house, I said, what are you going to do once the house is finished? I should maybe use the bobcat and start an excavation business and, help people. Where I live, there's people that have lots of blocks, 5 acres, 40 acres. I said, great. So overnight, I had built the website, designed the banner for the front of the yard, and off we go. And then he started getting phone calls, because I knew that I had to make it happen. And then we would have the proof whether or not it's going to work. So try. Obviously, you might not build your own website overnight. That might be a bit harder than for me to do it. But you could set up a Google My Business listing. You could put a banner at the front. You could go to, if you're a tourism business, go to the backpackers and go and ask people, do you want to jump on my tour bus, and see what happens. It's always, I guess, easier to start if you use your brain. So doing a bit of a tour, there's less investments than material. Just use what you've got, prove the concept, use great tools to do it. There's so many free tools to do things these days. I think in Talk To, which is the live chat plugin that we use, you can even create a free website. Google My Business as well. Well, they're not as nice, but there's options there. If you've got 24 hours available and a bit of entrepreneurial flair, you can get something up and running, and then go and knock on doors to get some people on your bus and take them to see the sights of your region with a nice glass of wine, a bit of cheese, and a great commentary. I would be surprised if it didn't work. And that's what I see people come to Agnes Water 1770 Facebook page, community Facebook page, is their work. And thinking half full, glass half full, yeah, you can do that. It's the perfect place to start your business. And then you realize they actually wanted to make sure there was no work so they could receive their check. But yeah, there are so many opportunities. The world is obviously changes. Just give it a crack and come and ask us on Facebook. What do you think? Ask people. If it's technical, ask me on our Facebook group, ask Desi, and we'll help you. There's so many people willing to help.
So many people willing to help. That is right on. This is an industry that definitely supports each other. And I love what really propelled you to start Tourism Tribe with Liz. I love that you said this to help people make a living of doing something that they love, not just as a side hustle, but as a real, as a real sustainable, profitable business. And you do such a good job. I have the delight to have contact on the daily with this fabulous Fabi, which has just been such a thrill for me, Fabi, to join you guys.
Likewise.
Thank you for saying yes to catch up after hours to do this together, because the days are so full, aren't they? And we will hope to see you. We've got all the resources to the free training that kick off next week. There's an incredible new program that's called Digital BizKeeper. So we hear a lot in our industry about job seeker and job keeper. We're all about keeping businesses, not just surviving, but absolutely smashing it and going to greater greater levels than what they were before COVID. So we really believe that, and we hope to see many of you there. To find out more about Fabi, where can we find out more about you, Fabster?
Or you can just Google me. There's only one of me in the world. It's so easy.
That is, yeah. I love that.
Oh, it's true. Easy.
It's easy. Fabienne Wintle.
You can go to Tourism Tribe, LinkedIn. There's not that many. Don't try and add me on Facebook. I'll tell you to add me to your page. Yeah, Facebook is for friends, right?
Yes, and there's plenty of opportunities on the Tourism Tribe channels. Navi we have, and I mean, Navi is the next. We'll need to do a second episode on Navi, but certainly tourismtribe.com, navi.com.au. That is beyond. If you're listening to us and you're saying, like, I wish I had this in my industry, or I wish I had this level of digital support for my small business, that is also available and it will be more readily available in the coming weeks. So you must go and sign up at navi.com.au and be kept in the loop with what is coming your way for your digital discovery and transformation in your small business, no matter beyond tourism for all industries. So be sure to sign up and get the updates as this beautiful resource is coming to the world, particularly to Australian small businesses. And you can read more about how that came to be for Fabi and Liz. So thank you, everyone who's joined us live. If there's any questions, any comments, be sure if you're watching the replay to let us know. Thank you to everyone that's listening to the podcast on Tourism Hub. Thank you to our wonderful superstar guest, Fabienne Wintle, the one and only. She is unique in her name. She is unique in her being. She is unique in everything that she does. And she certainly is someone with a servant's heart to serve the industry, her region, where she lives and she loves, and she's a special human being.
Thanks, Daisy.
Love you, Fabi. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Big love.
Bye.
Thanks again for joining us on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you found this podcast valuable, it will mean the world to give us a review on Apple iTunes. We're also live here every Saturday at 2 p.m. across all the Institute of Excellence Facebook and YouTube channels. And you are all invited. Be excellent, and don't forget we also have courses available at instituteofexcellence.com to help you and your small business greatness.